agency before, and that's okay. I had not heard of it either until I started working for the government. We oversee executive agency diversity spending, and executive agencies are anyone that rolls up to the governor. We were founded in 1972 as the Office of Minority Business Enterprise Assistance. So we've been around for several decades now, which to me really is a testament to how much Massachusetts puts an emphasis on spending money with diverse small businesses. We became an independent state agency in 2021, so quite recently. And something that I think is a fun fact is that Massachusetts was actually the first state to count LGBT enterprise spending as part of its diversity spending. There are a handful of other states that do now, but most do not. And Massachusetts does make spending with LGBT businesses a priority. Our mission is to promote diversity, equity, inclusion in state contracting, and we do that in two ways. The first way is by certifying small Massachusetts-based businesses and certain diverse businesses, and I think that's probably why most of you are here today, is to learn about that specific program. And then also we connect these businesses with opportunities and resources from other agencies and our community partners like Small Business Strong. And Commonwealth executive agencies are one of the state's biggest purchasing entities. It spends nearly $6 billion in discretionary funds every year. So we want more of that money to go to diverse and small business owners. And before we get into really the meat of it, some helpful terminology. What is supplier diversity, right? So supplier diversity is really making sure that you are spending money procuring goods and services from diverse businesses. It's different from workforce diversity. Workforce diversity is making sure that you are employing a diverse workforce. And it's an important part of what we call the best value procurement when doing state contracting, and I'll get a little bit more into that later. And what is a diverse business? A diverse business is a business that's owned by somebody who is an adult, permanent resident, or citizen of the United States and meets at least one of the following criteria. They're a minority, they're a woman, they're a veteran, they're a service-disabled veteran, they're an LGBTQ plus individual, and they're a person with disabilities. And you can be more than one of these. We do have MWBEs, Minority Women Business Enterprises. We have Minority Veteran Business Enterprises. We have LGBTQ Women Business Enterprises. So you don't have to fit yourself only into one box. You can apply for certification in multiple categories. And minority is defined as a person who is of Black, Hispanic, Asian, or Indian or Indigenous origin. And this is a legal definition of the term as written in our statutes. And there will be a link if you would like to review all of the certification regulations on our website. A question that we have a lot is, what is public sector? What is private sector? Public sector is a company or an organization that is partially or fully controlled by the government. So SDO is in the public sector. State colleges are in the public sector. The Department of Unemployment is in the public sector. It's really basically anything that gets financial support from the government. Private sector are businesses owned and controlled by private individuals or entities. So Amazon, Apple, the coffee shop down the street, they're generally for profit, and they're still private sector even when they go public. So, if you've heard of IPO, if you've heard of companies going public to sell their shares on the stock market, I can buy Apple stock, but they are still a privately owned company. And what is public procurement? That is kind of really the meat of what we're at today. Public procurement is the purchase of goods or services by entities in the public sector from businesses in the private sector. And in Massachusetts, all state purchasing and public procurement is regulated and overseen by an agency called the Operational Services Division. And so this information, I know some of you may already know all of this, but it's important to have this background when talking about certification and how to get into public contracting. So diverse business certification. Who does SDO certify as a diverse business? The first basic qualification is the owner needs to be a US citizen or lawful permanent resident who independently controls the managerial, financial, legal, and operational expertise of the business and has at least 51% ownership. And our certification categories are minority, woman, and veteran-owned businesses. This is for profit. We do minority, women, and veteran nonprofit. And we do certify Portuguese-owned businesses for specific contracts with the Department of Transportation. So if you have, if you would like to apply for Portuguese business certification and then you decide to bid on a contract that is being offered with the Department of Public Health, that certification does not count towards any of their spending goals. It only has to do with MassDOT. And then we have third-party certification partners that perform service-disabled veteran-owned business enterprise, disability-owned business enterprise, and LGBT business enterprise certifications for us. And for the nonprofit organizations, the minority, woman, or veteran have to be, the board needs to be at least 51% of one of those categories. And again, Portuguese-owned businesses are only for specific state transportation bond statutes. And so if you would like to get disability-owned business certification, LGBT business certification, or service-disabled veteran-owned business certification, these are the recognized organizations that we partner with that you can contact. They offer applications at no cost, just like SDO. And then there's a separate process for you to become an SDO vendor in our directory. And if you have questions about these, again, feel free to schedule a meeting with myself or Algeria, and we can walk through the options that you have for certifying your business. We also recognize certifications through the City of Boston, the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council, and the Center for Women in Enterprise. The City of Boston, the certification itself is free, but there is a $65 filing fee for a City of Boston business certificate. And Greater New England and the Center for Women in Enterprise do have fees for their certification, and generally that is based on the revenue of your business. The more money you make, the more expensive your certification fees are. But I can't speak to the specifics off the top of my head, but those are options for you, and they offer different networking and training opportunities than SDO will. And if you have questions about, well, should I get SDO certified or CWE certified, that's something that we can talk to you about as well. And so certification is free through SDO, and it is renewed every 3 years. Typically, the renewal process is much easier than the initial application process. There's less paperwork involved, and it's a much faster turnaround time. It's an opportunity to partner with Commonwealth prime vendors. And what does that mean? We'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about our programs. It's a way to strengthen your brand recognition. Regardless of whether or not you're looking to sell to the state or you're looking to market your business in the private sector, having a certification says my business is what I say it is, and I have my house in order, and you can trust that we are a woman-owned business, we are a minority-owned business, because we went through this process with the state to confirm that we are an ongoing business and we provide the services we say we do. And then also, once you become SCO certified, we have matchmaking and networking events with other certified vendors to help you create relationships and partnerships, and hopefully, you know, work together to bid on state contracts or meet diversity spending goals. And certification is not a contract or guarantee of business. I do have to say that up front. It is a powerful marketing tool, but it is not a guarantee. And it's not special treatment for diverse and small businesses. We're really just leveling the playing field and giving, shining a light on these diverse and small businesses that may otherwise kind of get lost when, you know, you have these huge companies, and when they're entrenched in the government contracting, it can be hard for smaller businesses to break in. And that's our goals are really to help new businesses get state contracts. And so what is the journey of a business as you go through the certification process? The first steps as a business owner is you're going to want to complete the certification self-assessment, and you'll get a link to that, and I'll show you what that looks like on the next slide. But that's going to help you decide what certifications or programs you may qualify for. You will want to attend the pre-certification webinar. That is a mandatory webinar that's separate from this informational session. It's scheduled for 2 hours, but it generally lasts only about 1 hour. And that is with our director of certification and a member of our certification unit. And they go through the certification and requirements, everything you'll need to know, the answer questions. That way you can be prepared when it comes time to put your application together. And then once you attend that webinar, you have 1 year to apply for your certification. You'll receive a code, and that code is valid for 1 year. And so once you apply for certification, that's where we step in this process. Our intake coordinator will review your application. If everything's okay, they'll put it in the queue for a certification investigator to review. The investigator is going to perform their verification, including a site visit and interview with you as a business owner. And then they'll submit a report detailing the results of the investigation. And in general, that total time is 60 to 90 days. Sometimes it's less than 60. I don't generally see it more than 90, unless there is something wrong with the initial application and the business owner is not responsive to emails. A lot of the time we see maybe there's a form missing, or something wasn't signed, or there's a number missing here. And if our intake coordinator emails you and then you don't get back to her for a month and a half, that's just an extra month and a half that you're going to be waiting in the queue to get your application processed. So it's really important to make sure that you're paying attention, that you've whitelisted our email address or anything from mass.gov, so that you're able to reply to emails as soon as you get them. And then after you're certified, you can download a certification badge for your business to use for marketing. We'll have a new vendor onboarding session. You'll want to register for the SDO Supplier Diversity Hub, which is where you can connect with prime vendors or subcontractors, depending on the size of your business. Combis is where all the procurements are posted, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And then you're going to want to monitor both of those places for bidding opportunities. This is what the certification self-assessment tool looks like. If you just click on that link, it'll take you right to the tool. It's just a few questions, and it'll tell you what you maybe qualify for and what you should apply for. And then again, we have the pre-certification webinar, and these are the dates of the upcoming webinars. We do them once a month, and they do fill up in advance. So I do recommend signing up as soon as you can once you know there's a date that you can attend. And just some frequently asked questions. Are you ready for certification? Just make sure you ask yourself, is my business registered? If you have an idea and you're scribbling it, you're just, right now you're writing things down on napkins, but you haven't put anything formally in line yet. We cannot certify businesses that are not actually legal entities. Do you have the necessary licensing to run this kind of business? A lot of times we find it, and this is a true story. We had an electrician try to get an LLC certified, but they didn't have a master license. You can't, that's not, legally, you can't do that. So we were not able to certify that business. And then again, like, do you have the time to fill out your application properly? It saves time on both sides, making sure that everything is properly filled out so there's not, as much back and forth. That's the thing that holds up the process the most, I would say, is when paperwork is not totally filled out, and the intake coordinator needs to send it back to the business owner to have more information filled in. And so eligibility, if you're a woman who owns a business with your husband or other ineligible person, can you apply for WBE certification? And so the answer is yes, if you can prove ownership and independent control of at least 51% of the company. I'll give a specific example that's a little bit anonymized. We had a father and daughter come in. The father was a mechanic, had been a mechanic for decades. Daughter was young, college age, and he wanted to start a business for her and start, build generational wealth. And that is something that I can absolutely get behind. I think we should all get behind that and build a better future for those coming after us. But so they started a company. She owned 51%, he owned 49%. But when it came time to do the interview, she did not have any training or experience related to being a mechanic. She answered the phone and ordered office supplies, and that's an important job. I've done it before, but she would not have been able to run that business and serve their customers without him. So that business did not qualify for WBE certification. So if you're applying for certification, you have to, if you're a woman, if you're a veteran, if you're a minority, whatever category, you have to make sure that you are actually able to independently control that business, all functions, without your co-owner. And how long do I have to be in business to apply for certification? There's no set amount of time, but you will need to be able to prove that you have the institutional knowledge about the industry, and that, again, you can run the business. Procedural questions: how long does it take to get certification? Again, it's about 60 to 90 days from the date you submit your application. And what is a site visit? It's just an interview with a certification investigator. They're done via Zoom right now. They're going to ask you questions about your documentation to make sure what you tell us is what you actually wrote down. If you are a plumber, they may ask to see where you keep your tools, just to make sure that you actually have some tools. And it's just a verification of the paperwork that you have submitted. They're very nice. It's nothing to stress about. I love all of our investigators, so it's nothing to be nervous about. And then what documents do you need to apply for certification? In general, you'll need documents that prove your eligibility as an owner, financial structure, personnel and management records, and governance. And it seems like a lot, but this is paperwork that you should have anyway for your business. So not only will getting all of this together help you with your application, but it will help you just become a more organized business owner as well. And if you already have all of this paperwork put together, the application process itself should only take maybe 30 minutes. I think the longest thing will be, if you don't have all the paperwork that you need already created, would be creating, an operating agreement or a marketing plan if you don't already have that. And it's what's required for your business. LLCs have different requirements than LPs have different requirements than nonprofits. So it really just depends on what kind of business that you have. And if you have questions about your documents, what you need, our certification team is available. Just send them an email and somebody will call you back or email you back. They're very helpful. We can't fill out your paperwork for you, but we can tell you what you need. But if you do need help filling out documents, the two Two resources that we recommend reaching out to are SCORE and obviously Small Business Strong, who have put together this webinar, both free resources for business owners, and they can help you with really almost any business question that you have. So amazing resources that you should definitely reach out to if you're not already in contact. And if you still don't know if certification is right for you, please feel free to reach out to myself or Algeria. We would be more than happy to help you out. All right, and so state procurement basics. I know that there are more webinars on government contracting coming up with Small Business Strong, so I highly recommend supplementing this information with the information they'll give you in those webinars. We're at 10:34. I want to make sure that we have at least 15 minutes for questions, so I might move kind of quickly through some of these slides. But basically, the state government has three branches: legislative, judicial, and executive. We sit in the executive branch, and the executive branch kind of like makes the Commonwealth go, makes it run. And if we want to buy a good or service, we have to purchase off of what's called a statewide contract. And what is a statewide contract? It's a list of pre-approved vendors for state purchasing. So if you are a business owner, you're a small business, you offer customized notebooks, and you come to me and say, hey, Amanda, I have this great new business. Do you need any customized notebooks for your office? I cannot buy from you because you are not, if you are not on a statewide contract that offers office supplies, I cannot purchase for my office from you. I could purchase personally from you, but not for my office. And so there are many statewide contracts: medical equipment, office supplies, auto parts, pretty much anything that you can imagine. There's a statewide contract for it. I think there's like over 100. Again, they're managed by the Operational Services Division. They do all of the negotiation for contract terms and pricing. And it's a very important part of what we call best value procurement. So that takes into account not just price, but all over terms and supplier diversity commitments.
Oh, I got to make sure we do the Pearson thing.
Yes.
I'm just gonna mute you while I'm speaking. And then companies bid to become a prime vendor on statewide contracts for the length of the contract. Generally, contracts come up for rebid every 3 to 5 years. And so who buys from statewide contracts? As I said, executive branch departments, we have to buy off statewide contracts. And then other eligible entities can choose to, and often do, but they don't have to. They often have their own rules for procurement, and I'm not an expert on any of these by any means. And so just to give you a specific example of a statewide contract, FAC 86 is solid waste and recycling services. And this information is publicly available online. And so if you meet with myself or Algeria, we can actually go onto Combis with you, which is a state procurement platform, and we can look up what statewide contract may apply to your business and see, okay, actually that's coming up for rebid in 2024. I'm sorry, could you just keep yourself, would you mind muting yourself until the end if you have questions? And so these are the vendors that are on FAC 86. When you see on the left, those are what's called the prime vendors on this contract. They are the approved vendors if we need to buy any of these services. And then all the way on the right, you see SDP commitment percentage. That is the percent that they have committed to spending with diverse vendors in our directory. And that is scored, that is 25% of the score. When their bid is being evaluated for a new contract, SDP is 25%. So you see some of these businesses are only committing to spending 1% with diverse businesses. that to me is like, I can't even believe that they're allowed to say that. There are a couple that are committed to spending 10%. One of those is actually a WBE. Another WBE is committed to spending 9% with other SDO certified businesses. I think the highest I've seen is 46%, which I thought that was pretty great. All state purchasing is done through combis. There's a link here. The Operational Services Division offers a lot of training. So if you want to get into statewide contracting, you're definitely going to want to check out combis and what vendor trainings they offer. So SDO has three main programs. We have the Supplier Diversity Program, which is where certification comes in. We have the Small Business Purchasing Program, which is separate from certification, and you can participate in both if you qualify. And then we have the Municipal Construction Affirmative Marketing Program. The Supplier Diversity Program, again, is why we certify these diverse businesses. We really want to increase the participation of diverse businesses in state contracting. And so if there is an open market procurement, which means it's not a statewide contract, it's just a agency is looking for a specific service, and they can put just kind of a general bid out there. If it's going to be over $250,000 a year, any prime vendors on that contract have to have partnerships with small and diverse businesses. The Small Business Purchasing Program works to increase state spending with small businesses. And a small business in this case is defined as a business that has annual gross revenues of $15 million or less based on a 3-year average. And so basically, if you're going to have a procurement that's going to be less than $250,000, and there is a small business that meets all of your requirements, you pretty much have to go with that small business and instead of, spending with like a large multinational company. And so these are the state spending benchmarks. There's two ways for agencies to meet their benchmarks. They can directly spend with a diverse prime contractor, or they can do what's called indirect spending, so if the prime contractor is not diverse, that prime contractor can either subcontract to a business that is a diverse business, or they can spend money with diverse businesses for general business needs. That's called ancillary spending. So that would be like catering or office supplies or janitorial services, just for an example. And so again, the two types of business opportunities for you would be to become a prime vendor. Those become available only periodically. Again, those statewide contracts, they go for 3 to 5, maybe 7 years sometimes. And so if the contract that relates to your business just went active, like in March, there's probably not an opportunity for you to get on that contract for another 3 to 5 to 7 years. And then indirect spending, again, is subcontracting or ancillary spending. Ancillary partnerships can be bookkeeping, IT services, administrative and clerical services. If you need to hire a temp, use a temp agency from our diverse business directory. That could all count towards spending for ancillary partnerships. And I'm not sure if anybody on the call now is in the construction industry. Megan Costa is our construction and persons with disabilities in construction program coordinator. She's going to be the expert, and she works with DCAM, the Department of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance, as well as UMass Building Authority, to work with them to meet their diverse goals, their diverse spending goals. Okay, and I'm sorry, so just quickly, I'm sorry to be moving so quickly through these. I was verbose at the beginning, I guess. SEO training that we offer. It's free and available online. We have onboarding for newly certified businesses. When there is a statewide contract that comes up for bid, we hold procurement vendor readiness classes for our state contract, prospective state contract bidders. And what that does is our procurement program coordinator will review the entire RFP with attendees and make sure that you understand the requirements. We cannot review your bid package before you submit it, but we can help you understand the requirements of the bid. How to respond to a request for a quote, and then Supplier Diversity Hub training sessions. And you will get invited to register for the hub once you become a certified vendor. Again, OSD manages combis and the entire state procurement process. They have a lot of training available. The ones that I definitely recommend are connecting your business to the Commonwealth, locate and respond to bids and combis, and demystifying the RFR. There are more than this. If you're going to take only one, take connecting your business to the Commonwealth. That's the one that teaches you how to set up a combis account and find bids and combis, just in like a general sense. The U.S. Small Business Administration has a lot of available training as well. Boots to Business is for transitioning service members. Ascent for Women is specifically for women, and Learning Center is for everyone. These are amazing, again, free resources offered by the federal government. On our website, we have expanded our list of resources available. Again, you will get these links in an email, or you can just go to our website, mass.gov/SDO. It's all right on there for you. The SDO directory of certified businesses. This is where it's public, it's online. It is where all of our diverse businesses are listed. You can use it personally if you want. If you need a new HVAC technician and you want to use a certified business, you can go on here and search HVAC and get quotes from different vendors if you'd like. And then we have a heat map coming soon. So if you're looking in a specific area, you'll be able to see what certified businesses are in that area, which I think is pretty cool. And then finally, our contact information for our website, specific email addresses for our different programs if you have questions. And then again, Algeria's information, my information, and then if you want to connect with us via either our newsletter or LinkedIn or Twitter. And this is the end of the presentation. I'm sorry for going so quickly towards the end, but again, Algeria and I are available to meet one-on-one with you if you have questions specific about your business. But I will open it up now. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. Doug, did we have any questions in the chat?